Hello and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're making Salisbury steak. In a large bowl you need 2 pounds of ground beef broken up. In a smaller bowl you can mix together 1 egg, 1/2 cup milk, 2 tablespoons of dried minced onion, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, I mixed mine together, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, and a 1/2 cup of Italian breadcrumbs. Now mix this all together. Make sure you break up the egg. You want to mix everything thoroughly to make sure all the ingredients have stirred together. Scraping the sides of the bowl does help. Now once you get it all mixed together, you're going to pour it into where your ground beef is, combining everything into one bowl at this point. Now mix together both ingredients, the ground beef and what you mixed up from the other bowl. It may get to a point where you cannot mix this with a spoon evenly and you will have to use your hands. Just make sure as you're doing this, you make all of the ingredients mixed together. You want this to be one big lump by the time you're done, rather than having some of the wet ingredients sticking to the sides of the bowl or on top. You want it all mixed through. So as you're getting your ground beef and mixture all put together, you're going to want to warm up a pan, preferably a large one, and put some oil in the bottom to cook so that way your steaks don't stick. And then you're going to want to take the steak mixture and actually pat it out into something kind of like an oval shape. These will be thick. It's just like a big oval hamburger almost. And just set them to the side on a cutting board or whatever until you're ready to put them in your heated pan. You know, as I was making this before, I didn't really understand how much effort there was in Salisbury steak, but it's such a great food to have for dinner, and I really enjoyed these as I made them, because I had always had them where people had served them to me from frozen mixes, and there's nothing like the real thing. This is so much better. So the mix that you've done after you patted these out, you should come up with at least 6 really thick Salisbury steaks. And once your pan is heated up, you need to transfer your patted out Salisbury steaks into the oil to let them start cooking. Now the goal of putting these in the pan is not to cook them completely. You only want to cook them for about 2 to 3 minutes per side. You want them to brown up and have a good outside on them, but you do not want to cook them completely because they are going to get returned to a pan shortly to cook in the gravy for about 45 minutes, so they don't have to be done. Okay, now that they are browned, remove them from the pan and set them to the side. Now in your pan, you're going to add your cut up onion. I suggest at least a large yellow onion, or you could use 2 medium onions. If you like onion a lot, add more to it. It's your choice. I used quite a lot in mine, but remember these will they'll cook down as the sauce is going into it, as the steaks are back in it. Once your gravy is forming, they will shrink. So if you like a lot of onion, add more. Make sure that if you have hunks of onion or bits, you want to break them up smaller so where they cook through. You don't necessarily want a big hunk of onion just sitting there trying to cook, because the inside might not. Cook your onions until they actually look like they're sweating a bit, become a little translucent. It's going to take at least 4 minutes or so, maybe 5, for them to cook through and turn a little bit. You'll notice it when you look at them because they will look really moist and wet. As you're cooking your onions, you do need to move them around the pan, turn them over, mix them up a bit so that way they have a chance of cooking thoroughly. Once your onions are completely cooked through, then you're going to need your beef base, which you're going to need at least a tablespoon worth. Once you get it in with the onions, try to mix it up a bit and break it up. You want it to mix in. Once it heats up, it'll become easier to mix it through. Then on top of this, you're going to need a half a cup of beef broth. And again, mix that through. You want to get it thoroughly through the onions before you do anything else. Now once you have this all done, you want to add 2 cups of water. Now once again, you want to mix this up and make sure that all of the beef mixes with the water and mixes with the onions to make everything evenly distributed before you return the steaks to the skillet. Once you let them simmer for about 4 or 5 minutes, then go ahead and add the steaks back in again. And once you have the steaks back into the skillet, you want to actually spoon a little bit of the onions and the sauce over top of the steak so that way it cooks in. Because once you do this, you're going to cook for 45 minutes at least, or maybe longer if you want to. But you're going to cover this and periodically come back and stir a little bit more to make sure that they stay evenly distributed. So now we're at the end of the cooking process. What you need to do is take 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, mix it with 2 tablespoons of water, mix it up. This is called a slurry. And then you want to pour it around your Salisbury steak in your pan. And you're going to take a spoon or whatever and mix it up because this is going to thicken your gravy and make it kind of silky. It's going to be really good. It just helps it thicken to a point where it looks like you've had a gravy on it. This is great if after you've made your Salisbury steak that you make some mashed potatoes or dinner rolls and put with it. And it's just a great meal. And it is filling for not that much cost. And here you have it. This is what's for dinner. If you'd like to actually make dinner rolls, I have a recipe on one of my other videos that I will leave a link in the description below. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time with my next video.